people put more importance on wealth. You see, a lot of people think that when you are rich, you become more influential. You become more powerful. And the richer you become, it seems that there are more friends who will help you spend your money. So that's how it goes in the world today. That's why we have a lot of people would recognize the people who are rich. But there's one question I want to ask you. What is the price to pay to become rich? Because it doesn't happen automatically. There's something that you have to sacrifice to become wealthy. You have to sacrifice your health. You have to sacrifice your time. Sometimes you have to sacrifice your freedom and even your relationship with other people. And worse, you have to sacrifice your relationship with Yahweh. That's why the Bible tells us that you cannot serve both God and Mammon. It's difficult, if it's not impossible. That is, we're going to put them at this. We are going to serve both of them at the same time. Because if you're going to serve Mammon, you're going to hate the other, and you're going to serve Yahweh. Then you have to put Him first in your life. So there's a price to pay when it comes to becoming rich. Now, I'm not saying that wealth, possession is bad of itself, but actually it's a great tool for you to do a lot of things. As the saying goes, that money is a great what's that? Money is a great servant, but a worse master. So if you allow money to become your master, it would actually bring you to your destruction. So in this afternoon, I would like to invite you to a story where there's a person here that pays the price to become rich. And later, we will see how wealth can become a burden and what can we do so that we will prevent that from happening. We will prevent it from becoming a burden in our life. So the story is about Abraham. Okay? Abraham. So let's go there, brethren. Abraham. Let's start reading the story here in Genesis 12. So, it says here, this is the time when Yahweh started to work with Abraham. He started calling him. Verse 1, now Yahweh had said to Abraham, get out of your country, from your family, from your father's house, to a land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who curses you. And in you, all the families of the earth will be blessed. So, Yahweh promised Abraham that he would be blessed physically. Okay? So, we could see here that it is actually the will of Yahweh to bless him materially. But there's a problem here. So, Abraham, verse 4, departed as Yahweh had spoken to him. And Lot went with him, and Abraham was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. Then Abraham took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their possessions that they had gathered, and the people whom they have acquired in Haran, and they departed to go to the land of Canaan. So they came to the land of Canaan. So Abraham went out in faith. He followed Yahweh in his instruction to leave Haran and go to Canaan. But along with his travel, what did he bring? He bring his possession. Okay, so I want you to take note of that because it's going to be a very important detail as we go along. And then, there was a problem here. But let's read first here in verse 7. Then Yahweh appeared to Abraham and said, to your descendants I will give this land. And there he built an altar to Yahweh who had appeared to him. And he moved from there to the mountain of east of Bethel, and he pitched his tent with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to Yahweh and called on the name of Yahweh. So Abraham started very good. He was faithful, he trusted God, and he obeyed the commandment of God. But here's the problem. Your faith is going to be tested, just like what happened to Abraham. Look at this in verse 10. After Abraham was able to settle in Canaan, there was a problem. There was a famine. Okay? So, the famine is a serious thing. Okay? We know that famine has killed a lot of people. It has made a lot of people to suffer. There's little food to eat. So this is not a joke. Famine is something serious. It's a serious problem. And so, what was the response of Abraham toward this famine? What was his response? Now, there was a famine in the land, and Abraham went down to Egypt to dwell there, for the famine was severe in the land. Did you see that, brethren? The response of Abraham was to leave the promised land that God has given him. Obviously, God can bless Abraham where he was, because after all, it was Yahweh who promised him, or who commanded him to stay in Canaan. And yet we find here that Abraham went to Egypt. And this led to another problem. Look at this. And it came to pass when he was close to entering Egypt that he said to Sarai, his wife, "Indeed, I know you are a woman of beautiful countenance." So this makes me wonder, no? How Sarai really looked like. She seems to be already old at this time, and yet a lot of people, when they see Sarai, they become attracted to her. So verse 12, "Therefore it will happen when the Egyptians see you, that they will say, 'This is his wife,' and they will kill me, but they will let you live. Please say to you are my sister, that it may be well with me for your sake, and that I may live because of you." So this is actually a white lie, a half lie, kasi Sarah is actually a relative of Abraham. So we could see here the result of his lie. Verse 14, "So it was when Abraham came in Egypt that the Egyptians saw the woman, that she was very beautiful. The princess of Pharaoh also saw her and commended her to Pharaoh. And the woman was taken to Pharaoh." Look at this, brethren, verse 16. "He treated Abram well for her sake. He had sheep, oxen, male donkeys, male and female servants, female donkeys, and camels." Now, it didn't say that it was Pharaoh who gave this wealth to him, but we could surmise that when he was in Egypt, he increased further in wealth. Okay? So what was the price that Abraham paid to become wealthier? The price he paid is that he lied and he wavered in his faith. So you could see here, brethren, that it is possible that you become physically blessed, or you might say you increase in wealth, but it's not according to the will of Yahweh. And here, Abraham, yes, he increased in wealth, but he lied so that he would be able to acquire that. And notice this, brethren. What did he acquire in that place? He had sheep, oxen, male donkeys, male and female servants. Could it be possible, brethren, that one of the servants here is Hagar? Could it be possible? Perhaps it could be possible. And you know what happened to Hagar later. She became the handmaid of Sarai, and that's where Ishmael came from. And we now see the problem in the Middle East because of this decision that they made during at that time. So we could see that there were consequences to his lack of faith and also his lying during this time. Now, thankfully, Yahweh was patient with Abraham, and he sent a plague in the house of Pharaoh, and they realized that Sarai is the wife of Abraham. So in verse 13, we read, "Then Abraham went up from Egypt." So umalis na sila sa Egypt. He and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him to the south. Now this is what I want us to focus on. Verse 2. Abram was very rich in livestock, in silver, and in gold. Now, if you read this verse, brethren, it seems that it doesn't say much about what happened to Abram. But if you're going to look into the Hebrew word of the word rich, okay? If you look into the Hebrew word of rich, it unlocks a deeper understanding of what really happened to Abram. The word rich in verse 2 came from the Hebrew word kabed, which is actually meaning heavy, difficult, burdensome. That's very interesting. You see, Abraham was very heavy in livestock. He was in difficult situation with his livestock, silver and gold, and it has become a burden to him. Can you imagine that, brethren? Your wealth becoming a burden to you? So that is the Bible. That's what the Bible basically is saying, that Abraham was very heavy in livestock, silver and gold, that it came to the point that it became a burden. So, how does wealth become a burden? Let me give you 5 quick ways on how this could happen. Number 1, the burden of acquisition. Becoming wealthy comes with the burden of acquiring position. When you want to become rich, you need to exert considerable amount of effort, stress, and even strategic planning. Next, it could also become the burden of preservation, because the burden of getting wealth does not stop when you become rich already. You have also to preserve your wealth, and preserving your wealth could also lead to burden. Once wealth is acquired, there is an ongoing responsibility to preserve it. This can lead to anxiety and fear, as the wealthy individual must protect their assets from theft, loss, or mismanagement. Did you see that? Number 3, the burden of temptation. Wealth can lead to temptations that test one's moral and ethical boundaries. With more resources at his disposal, Abraham might have faced increased temptation to use his wealth in ways that could diverge from his faith and principle. Number 4, the burden of use. Deciding how to use wealth wisely and justly is another significant burden. It involves making choices that align with one's values and responsibilities, potentially impacting many lives. And finally, how can wealth become a burden? The burden of accountability. There is this ultimate burden in biblical teaching. We know in the Bible the stewardship principle, that God has entrusted us with wealth, and individuals might ultimately give an account to Yahweh on how you use wealth. As you can see, excessive wealth can become a burden. And that is what we have seen in Abraham. Now, if we're going to continue reading the story of Abraham, we could see an example of what could happen because of this burden. Let's go back to Genesis 13. Verse 5. Lot also, who went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. Now the land was not able to support them, that they might dwell together, for their possessions were so great that they could not dwell together. And there was strife between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. So you could see here that the wealth of Abram and Lot, instead of uniting them, it caused division and strife among his people. So that is one example of how wealth can cause division and cause burden in one's life. So the next question we want to ask is, how are we going to prevent wealth from becoming a burden? How can we do that? Well, let's see the example of Abraham. So what was the solution of Abraham? Verse 8, so Abram said to Lot, please, let there be no strife between you and me, and between my herdsmen and your herdsmen, for we are brethren. Is not the whole land before you? Please, separate from me. If you take the left, then I will go to the right, or if you go to the right, then I will go to the left. Did you see that, brethren? What was the solution of Abraham for preventing the wealth from becoming burden? It is the word generosity. You see, brethren, Abraham is older than Lot. He has all the reason to make the decision first. He is the one who has the right to choose for himself, and then just let Lot choose later. But in this case, out of his generous heart, he allowed Lot to make the decision first. And you see, brethren, the next way for us to prevent wealth from becoming burden is number 2. Aside from generosity, it is faith. Faith. You know why? Because actually, Abraham is acting on faith here. He is trusting Yahweh that whatever he ends up with, that Yahweh could be able to bless that possession. So, you could see here that Abraham believes that it is not about the wealth, the possession, the material things that he has, but it is more of having the grace and blessing of Yahweh. Because there's no use having all this wealth if you don't have the blessing of Yahweh. Alright? So, this is how we could also prevent wealth from becoming a burden. So, in this offertory message, brethren, I invite you to give your offering with a generous heart and with faith in Yahweh. You know why, brethren? Because sometimes it's so easy to just give our offering out of having a lot of things. Kasi I don't have, wala naman akong problema sa pera. I could give any amount that I can. That's easy. But when you give out of your poverty, it's so difficult. Now, when you think that, this is the only money that I have left, could I still have money in the next week, next month, or next a few days from now? But if we look into the example of Abraham here, he is telling us to give in faith. That you know, that you trust God, that when you give generously, you know that God is able to bless us according to His bounty. So, brethren, that is my message for you for this offertory message. And I hope, brethren, as we give our offerings this afternoon, we remember the example of Abraham. That we give with a generous heart and we give with faith in Yahweh. Hello, friends. I need your help. If this is not too much to ask, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. This should only take 5 seconds of your time. But this simple gesture would help me reach more people and share the Word of God with the rest of the world. You have the power to make a difference in people's lives.